Hello and welcome to Kiss My Arts. My name is Mary Blake and I'm here on Leitrim Daily, and today I have Gerry Bohan in the room. How are you, Gerry?
Great, Mary. How are you?
I'm very well. Good to see you here in Dive.
Thanks, Mary. Good to see you too, no?
And come here, Gerry, you're a Mohill man.
Yeah, just
From the
outside
town?
of it there, no, about 2 mile out the Ballinamore Road.
Very good. And you are a farmer.
I do a bit of farming, Mary, yeah.
Good
a few
man.
suckling cows and...
And people probably saying, hold on, is this Martin Market now, or is it an arts show? And they'll be wondering why you're on. But I know you're predominantly a farmer.
I would be, yeah. First of all, a farmer anyhow. That's,
Yes. And you grew up on a farm.
Yeah, I would have spent our younger days, and I went away then for a while and back again, but the feet in the job again.
So come here, you have been writing over the last several years. Or were you always writing?
I always done a wee bit, Mary, but I wouldn't be going out anywhere with it now. I wouldn't be heading into the pub and showing the lads now, Jesus, look at what I was at here during the week. You know, you could get told to shut up fairly quick, so you could be told. But
And what put you writing first?
well, that's kind of... I'd put a few words down. Maybe I'd like words. I'd like playing a bit with words. I'd like... you know, maybe if you heard a bit of a story, put down a few lines of it like that, you know, you could go, you'd remember it maybe for again, like, and there was always good lads in our area there, and to be chatting about how things was done, you know, years ago, and telling the stories about characters around the area and stuff like that, so...
And when you were at school, were you into the English and into the writing at school?
I was into the writing, all right, but it was a kind of... there was it was a... Well, I suppose it was bet out of me for a while, anyhow. I suppose when a kid would be coming up with a composition where there'd be maybe 2 pages in it, it was maybe easier for the teacher to correct. But when I'd be coming up with maybe 15 or 20 pages of probably nonsensical daft stuff, of course the teacher used to get fed up with this, and they ended up throwing me copybook on the ground one day, one of them, and hitting me a slap and telling me not to be writing so much crap. So
I know.
That I kind of, I suppose it wouldn't have done the confidence much good as a youngster. So because I kind of... anything that I'd really done then after that, I wasn't inclined to show to many people it, you know. So it was in really later years that I'd be doing it, and as I say, not showing anyone. But then there came a thing up. A friend of mine says to me one time that I should go to the Word Corner, which is in the dock, once a month. And it was I suppose it was a safe place where you could go and read out your stuff or just listen to other people's stuff. Like when I went there first, the first evening that I was there, I just sat back and listened to other people's stuff and listened to see was there somebody there who's going to criticise it or, you know, put it down in any way, like, and there wasn't. And the second time I went, I still didn't, because I was afraid someone might be there, you know, that wondering. You'd have a notion in your head, like, that, you know, that you're not good enough, that it's only certain people that does it, like. But sure, when I went to it, I found it a safe place anyhow. When you could, after a while, I read out a few bits and pieces and that crack, and you know, and then you get to a stage then where you go to a few different places and you like criticism. Then you like constructive criticism. You like somebody to tell you when you have got the confidence to read out a bit of your stuff in public to people. It comes to a stage then where you like people to give you an honest opinion, let it be criticism or praise or whatever, like, you know.
So that's a big jump, really, to go from really doing your own little writing on your own copybook and your own laptop to coming in and sharing it with people and getting and exposing yourself to that potential criticism.
Oh God, yeah, Mary,
it is a big
it is
jump.
Aye.
And what's that Word Corner there you were talking about?
Oh, the Word Corner, it's Well, we used to meet up once a month before COVID, of course, and it's just anyone that would have a little bit written down that they'd like to share with people, either tell a story or a poem, that you'd just go there and I suppose give it an airing, let the words out and let it fall on people's ears, and that it's as I say, it's if you head for the local pub, you might be told shut up quick. Rightly so, but this is a safe place.
Yeah, good. And come here, will you have your piece you could read for us today?
Well, I have one, Mary. Now I do. I feel like I'm a bit of a fraud now, because I have read this out so many times here, there, and everywhere.
Gerry said to me when I got on to him to come on to the show, he said, "Jesus, I will if you're stuck." If you're horrid stuck. So please don't think I'm stuck. I'm delighted to have you here, and I have heard this piece before and I love it, and it's the reason why I wanted you to come back, so I'm delighted you're doing it. Could you introduce it there to the audience and we'll crack on with it?
It's called Feet First. Around about 3 months ago, I dragged my 48-year-old body into Dr. Kelly's surgery. I had fierce bad pains in my feet. The knees, hips and back were suffering too, but the pains in my feet were getting unbearable. I told him about my ailments and how I was finding it hard to cope with even a simple task like going to the shed for a lock of turf. We had a good old chat about different things. Farming, the weather of course, characters around the area and how time had taken some of them away, a couple of my neighbours included. He asked did I miss those that passed away in my townland. I told him how it can be lonesome passing by the empty houses, knowing how nice it was to call in and have a chat and a laugh with the old people. They would love to talk about how life used to be in their day, I said. He asked more questions, would write down me answers. Do you get out for a drink at all these days, he asked. No, too afraid of being bagged and losing my licence, I told him. Are you an early riser, he asked. I told him the truth, says either some days I wouldn't give a shite if I never got out of bed. Do you know, says he, pain in the joints and tiredness can sometimes be symptoms of depression. Are you happy in yourself, he asked. That was the queer awkward one. It took me a while to gather myself and answer him. Well, doctor, I've often thought I should be happier, an answer finally came out of me. I'm going to give you a prescription for 6 weeks' supply of antidepressants. We will see how you are after that. If you feel the same, come in to me and I will give you a stronger dosage. Well, prescription in hand, I headed for the chemist. All kinds of daft thoughts came over me. I wondered what the women in the chemist would be saying. Your man is mental. He's not well in the head. The lunatic should have been on tablets long ago. Sure, that fella's a danger. The likes of him should be put in an asylum. He never was right. All these thoughts started to go round in me head. And by the time I got as far as the chemist counter, a monk after a dozen condoms wouldn't feel near as nervous and shameful as myself. Can I help you there, love? A kind-sounding voice threw me out from the dark thoughts, and I handed her the prescription. I'll have those for you in just a minute. Waiting for her, I told myself to cop on, think straight, and if you're going to freak out, I says to myself, wait till you get home. There you are now, love. She came back with my tablets in a little bag. Sitting down calmly at my kitchen table, I read the warnings on the leaflet that came with the tablets. May cause dizziness, high blood pressure, increased cholesterol, may cause a cessation of restlessness or an inability to sit or stand still. You may develop suicidal thoughts. The warnings began to put me thinking that the cure might be worse than the disease. I'm not saying the man was wrong to prescribe me the tablets. I'm sure they work wonders for some people's heads. But it's hard to understand how antidepressants help with pain. You see, I found it a bit confusing. Those tablets are meant to treat my head, and the part of the body that gives me the most bother, my feet, couldn't be further away from my head. So instead of treating my head, I thought maybe it might be a good idea to treat my feet. The next day I headed into Carrick and off for yon Trailblazer shop. There were often have ads on Shannon's side claiming to have great footwear. I asked your man, would you have any comfortable size 10 waterproof boots? Try these, he handed me a pair of black leather boots. I took my old boots off, and as soon as I put the new pair on, my feet began to feel as comfortable as calves lying down on a freshly changed bed of straw. I was delighted with myself and hoped the boots might just be the cure for my aching feet. Well, the side effects of the cure, an empty pocket left me a bit dazed. The boots cost €110. But says I to myself, if the work and the only side effect is an empty wallet, I'll manage somehow. So I paid him the money, he gave me a fiver luck penny, and off for home I drove. It wasn't too bad of an evening, so begorra says to me dog, come on, Feshty, we're going for a walk. We didn't get too far from the house until I got tired in myself and the feet began to ache, but the next day we went a little further, and after a couple of weeks, 'twas no bother for me to walk 4 or 5 miles. Feshty gets all giddy and excited now when he sees me going for the boots. He loves being out and about, running around sniffing the hedges. He is turning into a bit of an idiot with all the attention he's getting from the people we meet. Isn't he lovely? He's the cutest little terrier I've ever seen. He never stops wagging his little tail. He's so friendly. They all stop to pet, have a chat with him or give him a treat. I'm fond of him myself, and part of the pleasure of going for the walks does be watching him enjoying all the attention. The poor fellow spent long enough lying about the house and me not able to bring him anywhere. His friendliness towards everyone has led me to meet some nice people. Seldom I go for a walk now without having a chat with somebody on the way. A lady one day asked, would I like to join a walking club? She said they have a walk planned for Slieve and Eardon. Come along next Sunday, says she. We will meet at Jackie Lee's shop at 8 o'clock. Well, off we went down to Jackie Lee's, myself and Feshty, the 2 new recruits. There was about a dozen people there, and who should be among them only the man I went to see 3 months ago, Dr. Kelly. The same fella now, he's no way snobby. Spotting me, he came over and begod told me I was looking good and patted Feshty on the head. The lady that had invited me to join introduced myself and Feshty to the group, and we all took for the mountain. It was a lovely morning. The views were great. After a couple of hours of fairly tough walking, we reached the highest point. Not just of the mountain, but of what had been my life for the last couple of years. I was taking in and enjoying all the scenery when over comes the doctor and says, it's great to see you doing well. Sometimes all a person needs is a little kickstart to get on the road to recovery. And I'm glad those tablets have done just that for you. Not wanting to bring up the whole head, feet thing of a sunny Sunday morning and us on top of a beautiful mountain, I just stood there enjoying the views, content that the calves were lying in cosy straw, smiled over at Feshty, chewing some kind of a snack bar one of the walkers gave him, and said, thanks, doctor, you're dead right. And I left it at that.
Lovely. That's such a great piece.
Thank you.
And when did you write that?
It's about 2 years ago now, Mary.
Had you a process, or did it just take on a life of its own?
I suppose I get a feeling for something, like, and say, I'd love to do that, like, you know, I could be just walking down the lane myself, or I could be down in the fields, I could be down looking at the cattle or something, and just be thinking to myself about different things, and something would just hit you, and you'd say, right, I'll I'll box that idea in my head, and somewhere along the line I'll start at it.
And when you're down with the cattle, do you get on well with the cattle? Do they have personalities, or are they all just cows?
God, the wood, yeah. When you be, when you're, I suppose, small, like kind of funny 8 cows, like when you have a small amount of cattle, it doesn't take you long to figure out the personality of each one, sort of thing. Like, and the wood have. They'd all have their same. They'll all have their own personalities. Yeah.
So you could have a crabbit enough one, and
there would be a crabbit one. There's always a crabbit one. Yeah. And the crabbit one, the crabbit one can create problems for herself too. Like, because when she gets maybe on a bit, there's a crabbier one coming along.
Go away. And they've got youth on their side.
They have youth on their side. Youth and power, as the old people would say.
And would there be power within the few cows like that? Would there be a boss?
Yeah.
Would there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'd always be the one that the other. And it's funny. They're happier with a boss, so they are. If you took the boss away for some reason for a day or so, like, it causes turmoil within in the herd, because you have the next one wanting to be the boss, and the whole lot goes a bit haywire for them.
Yeah. Go away. And do you have any other animals or livestock?
Yeah. We have hens, and it was great. Yesterday morning, a hen came out of the ditch with 12 little chicks. Oh. It was one of those. We got 6 of them last year. Rescue hens. There's a place called Little Hill Sanctuary, and they do put ads up on Facebook now and again that there'll be a trailer load of hens coming to Longford. We got ours. They were coming to Lidl in Longford, and we got 6 of them. The fox, of course, ran off with 2 of them. He didn't mind about them being battery hens, or he didn't look for any of he didn't look for their history.
No, he wasn't too fussy.
No,
their certification of breeding.
No. It was lovely to see them. I suppose what we nearly call it getting healed. Like, when they arrived first, they had their nails was about 3-4 times longer than they should be, like, because they wouldn't have scrap ground looking for all their food. They would be in a little, I suppose they might be in a little 2 foot by 2 foot cage. And
that's their life. Yeah. And what would happen if they weren't rescued? Would they be slaughtered, or?
I'd say they would, yeah. They'd be gone by. You see, what they do in the battery is they manipulate daylight, okay. And what they do is they create in a week. They create about 10 days in the 7 days.
Okay.
10 or 12 days.
They're speeding it up the whole time.
Yeah, with light. The hen will only lay 1 egg a day. So what they do is they put the light on for 8 hours, switch it off, switch it on again. So the hen thinks it's morning. Like, a hen's day has 2 mornings nearly. And
okay, so when they are released to you, then they must be far more chilled out altogether.
There would be, you pick them up just like a stone on the ground there, like they have no comprehension of how predators or anything like that. Like, but yeah, the biggest thing that I found when it really hits you, the life that they had, is when you call them, when you go chuck chuck. They have never interacted with a human. So they don't know that means food time, or no. And you go chuck chuck chuck, and they're just looking at you. It's just a noise to them, like. And then you know that like, you know, the human has called the chicken, their farm animal, chuck chuck for 1,000 years maybe, or they had some way of calling their hens. So in 1,000 years of that, we have come to a place now where hens have no concept of humans whatsoever. the feathers is pulled off them and everything. They're like something now that the Munster and the All Blacks used for a rugby ball, and instead of kicking it up the field, they throw it in and out through a ditch 1,000 times.
They're just wretched looking.
Oh, they're
and then they grow back their feathers and they plump up.
Yeah.
And do they give you eggs every day?
They give us eggs, yeah. They give us eggs, and we introduced a rooster too now, and like as the fella says, they were all delighted with themselves with this fella prancing around the yard, and he was delighted with them, and as a result, anyhow, they went away, and I don't know what time they met now or whatever.
One thing led to another, as the man says.
They were hiding the mobile phone when they were making arrangements. Anyhow, they didn't let us see what was going on.
So now you have a little clatter of them.
A clatter of them, yeah.
Fantastic.
So it went from a hen just waiting to die in a battery in a battery factory, so to having a brood following around the place.
And eggs for everyone in the audience.
Aye.
Yeah, brilliant. Come here, have you another wee scale or poem or...
Well, it's only a short bit of a thing, Mary. It's only, I suppose I'd be playing with words for the crack, too, and this is just, I suppose it's a memory from years ago. I was looking back to see if she was looking back to see if I was looking back to see if she was looking back at me. She wasn't.
She wasn't? Oh, no. You have a few more written down there.
Yeah, this is one, this is one I do tell about... Well, this isn't such a funny one now. Sometimes you just put your feelings on a piece of paper, and this is about a good friend of mine who's no longer with us. He took his own life about 3 years ago, and it's I suppose like everyone, you never the person. It's like a different person that does it, but it's of course it is the person that does it, but it's like. The person that done it is the person that you never knew that person. That person that person hid from you for years, and you don't know what you go back in your conversations and you replay them all in your head, and you just wonder, was there a little bit of a sign there, and this particular person, no, there was absolutely nothing to say that what turmoil his mind was going through. I even hear depression wouldn't even be mentioned at one time. It would be completely taboo amongst lads chatting. But lately now, I notice in the last 5 or 6 years, and I'm just saying that's why I kind of wrote that as well, and I like the one about the feet, one about the boots, because it's I suppose it's ordinary language, it's ordinary talk, it's talk that we'd all be chatting about in the country, and the more it's talked about by ordinary lumps of country lads, the less of a taboo it becomes then,
You're taking the mystery out of it.
You're taking the mystery out of it, yeah, right.
And I think it is something that a lot of writers and artists, Seamus O'Rourke even did that lovely one, Indigestion, wasn't it?
Indigestion, yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. And again... talks about it but doesn't talk about it. So there is a lot of skirting around.
There is,
with mental health.
That's right, yeah. And what he says about the whole indigestion, that's exactly how it is.
It's the feeling in the pit of your stomach, and I suppose a lot of people didn't even know the name to put on it.
No,
it was just a feeling.
That's right.
Read your. Is it a poem or is it a little bit of prose or?
It's a little bit. Again, I don't know what it is. It's just my own old thoughts down, but it's called The Other anyhow. Nobody knew the other, hidden from our eyes, behind those smiling eyes, now as children cries. There's tears in all our eyes. Nobody knew the other. Nobody knew the other.
Beautiful.
And it's just that we didn't know, nobody bloody knew at the time.
I know.
I heard someone saying too, that had came close to taking their own lives, like, and it says that somebody says they were in their 50s, and somebody says, well, you're not at that age, like, you know, you had a lot of stuff, you'd have a lot of hurdles crossed, it says, at that stage in life, like, you know, the teenage years and all that kind of turbulence and different things going on in relationships and all. And well, he says, the young man says, I just got fed up being fed up. And he spent so many times fed up and down in the dumps and up again. And
he
down.
was exhausted.
He was exhausted. He was completely exhausted. Yeah. It was like, be Jesus, well, sure, I done this, I done that, I done the other, and you know. Yeah. And that was it.
It's amazing. So come here. You said you left Ireland for a while. Where were you living?
I went over to America, Mary, and then I headed for Australia. And, I done a bit of travelling around there.
Good. And were you working over there? Or were
yeah. I was doing a bit of. I was working on New Zealand now. I like New Zealand. I was working on farms over there in New Zealand. Yeah.
And how different is a New Zealand farm to a Mohill farm?
Not a lot, no, really. The smaller farms, no, the bigger farms, like you're talking about, you know, the factory farms, some of them like 2,000 milking cows, you know. I wouldn't see that in a month driving around Leitrim.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, big farms now, and then you had this smaller little farms, like where people would have, like Leitrim, a few hens and a few cattle and a few sheep. And,
just making a living and no more. Yeah, but still, look, did you always know you were going to come home?
Yeah. No matter. That's why I went, because I knew that I would be settling in Leitrim, but I didn't want to settle at home in Leitrim without having experienced the world, because a bit of the world anyhow.
So you're glad you did that?
A few different countries.
Yeah, you're glad you did that.
Yeah.
And come here, you to be on Facebook. You're always putting up a bit of crack or a photo you take, and I notice some people are wondering, they don't know how to take you.
No.
Some comments underneath, they don't know is he pro-mask, is he anti-mask, is he pro-Trump, or is he what? Because you leave it kind of open.
I do, Mary, yeah.
Are you trying to wind up people?
In a way, but hoping that they'd see humour in it. Like,
absolutely,
you know.
Yeah.
I do find it funny, Mary, how somebody knows that it's a bit of crack and they'll put up a comment, and I'm happy that the other person sees that then, like.
And I think it's funny to see, like, then you it's like taking the pin out of a grenade and walking out of the room. Because then I do see people having these arguments at the bottom of your picture, kind of saying, you shouldn't be doing this. So that's good crack to watch. And then you have a Facebook page as well.
I do. I said, don't follow the bucket.
Don't follow the bucket. And you've a good lot of followers on that.
There does be,
And what do you want to do with your writing now? What's your plan?
Well, Mary, I'd keep on tipping about with a bit of humour and a bit of crack too. Just that's a kind of a pastime, really, sort of thing. Like, you know, I do like words. I like playing with them. I like having the crack with them. During lockdown, I haven't put one thing together now. I have, apart from a writing hut that I put together, and it's nearly finished now. It's a little bit more.
You've built it yourself.
Aye. But that's going to be a lot of time into it, like a lot of time, a lot of work for something that you'd like to have the way you'd like to have it, sort of thing.
So a wee place to go and
exactly,
get a bit of quiet.
A bit of quiet, a bit of
good.
quiet. No, because no matter what's time you set aside for yourself in the house, there's always something going on.
Absolutely. And that was a little lockdown project, really putting it. So it was a good way to. It was a good thing to have out of it.
At least you can look at that anyway and say that was done during that time. I'd like to put something more meaningful together, like at some time. And that was the whole meaning of the hut. I've been planning to get it done for a couple of years now and get something. Corner, but you'd like to do something that you know, someone could pick up and have a like to read, put it down and say that, right, that's
to put it all together and
exactly,
have it there. And it's quite different. Some of it is funny and some of it is deep, and you know, so it'll be interesting to see it all together. And do you like performing? Do you like standing up and performing it, or do you prefer just to have it written and published?
I'd like the little stories I don't mind performing. Like I've been in a couple of plays. I wrote a couple of plays too, and I was in them. Now I wasn't that comfortable. I wouldn't be that, you know, as a like to stand up and do that way. All right, no, I wouldn't. I'd sooner let somebody else.
I know, and they were little plays.
James O'Rourke, he's great. Jesus,
brilliant. I know he can do all.
He can do all. He can do 20 characters in the one play. Like, so.
Yeah. And when you were saying you wrote plays, you wrote it for local amateur dramatic groups, was it? Yeah. And you put it on there. Sure, but that's satisfying to see other people interpreting your work. And,
it is, aye.
You know, so come here. Thanks a million for coming in.
Yeah.
It's great to see kind of a normal life reflected in the arts as well. And I think that's what you talk about so well in anything that I've heard from you. It's just like, it's kind of saying what we're all thinking, really. And it's lovely to see that reflected. So keep writing anyway. Get into that hut now.
Aye, sir.
And get writing. So get writing more. We're dying to see more. So if anybody wants to check out Gerry, it's Don't Follow the Bucket is the Facebook page, or he's also there on Facebook giving out and putting up funny pictures of cows with masks on them and all sorts of things, and dogs shaking and hens.
Everything is a prop around the place.
Yeah. You don't miss an opportunity. So that's us for today. Today's episode was brought to you by the Dock Arts Centre. Thank you to them for their support, and we'll see you next time on Kiss My Arts.